DownHome Sports, covering all the sports in Ellis County. Brought to you by Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas and a bank. Located off of 287 in Midlothian, Texas. And Dough City Pizza and Burgers. For artisan burgers, pizzas, and ice cream, make sure you go where it's delicious to Dough City Pizza and Burgers, located in Red Oak, right across from the high school.
Elite Foot and Body in Midlothian, Texas, off of 663. Make sure you go to get your body rejuvenated after hard workouts and great competitions.
With today's busy schedules, we need flexibility. Pinnacle Bank is the way banking should be. With ATM Live, powered by the people. They have hours that make it easy. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can just pull up to one of the easy-to-access ATMs, where there's always someone live, friendly, and knowledgeable to help you. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas in a bank. Member FDIC.
The battle to belong begins here, among the few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome in our Waxahachie Independent School District Athletic Director Greg Reed and Assistant Athletic Director Mr. Terry Minton. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your evenings to join us. We appreciate it, and we'll make this short so you can get back to your families. I know y'all are busy men. So, Mr. Reed, we'll start with you. I have to assume that with everything that's transpired in the past couple years, that the role of athletic director has probably gone through some changes, or maybe seen some more difficulties with COVID and the what. Talk about some of the behind the scene things, and maybe Mr. Minton can elaborate too, but talk about behind the scene things that might have changed, or maybe some things that people don't know and don't think about that has to come from the athletic department, and specifically with your role and trying to get these sports rolling and keep them going for the kids.
Well, first, I'll just say that I learned from Coach Woodhouse. Well, now he's Mr. Woodhouse to a lot of people, but Coach Woodhouse always used to say that, you don't need to call them problems or obstacles, you need to call them opportunities. And we had lots of opportunities to grow this year, and I was very appreciative just to our administrative staff, to our community, to our parents, to even our kids. I mean, they were great, and they showed a lot of grace and a lot of understanding in the last 18 months as we tried to navigate this whole COVID situation. I guess it's been 16, 17 months ago now is when it all came down to us, and started losing one season after another, till essentially it was just all wiped out for the rest of the spring semester. So as we went into our coaches meetings, we learned, I'll tell you some things we learned. We learned that we can operate through Zoom meetings. You can be efficient, you can be thorough, you can get all your work done and all your meetings done. You can do interviews, you can have coaches meetings, you can have hard conversations, and you get to see people face to face, even on the Zoom. I still would rather be in person, but if that's as close as we can get, then we learned that we could operate and do business that way, if we have to. And along with that, we learned that the ticketing situations, when we started dealing with all the various rules handed down to us, some of it local, some of it mandated, that we knew we were going to have capacity limits. And our first priority, and Coach Minton can chime in at any time, it was to be sure that the parents of the participants were going to have the first choice to be able to come and see everything. And that's, as we go into last fall, launching football season, we cut the capacity down to, Terry, I've already forgotten. What did we do? 25%? Is that what we operated at?
Right at 32%, around
right
there.
So we set that up so that all of our participant parents, from the band to the cheer to the athletic trainers, to the charmers, to the football players, and those families that all includes, they had the first opportunity to get the tickets. And, you know, do we ever have to shut any of them down during football season? We still had the visitor side tickets, but I think during the season, we sold about as many as we could for every home game.
Fortunately, we did well within the Lumpkins complex. You know, when everything was still so fresh, there were still a lot of people not willing to physically come. Plus, we could live stream, and that got a lot of people to be able to watch live streaming. But it wasn't much of an issue on the Lumpkins complex. But as the year went on and more restrictions were being taken off and people were starting to get a little more comfortable about trying to come to games, our capacity limits started to get pushed to the top on some of our smaller venues.
You know, there's some comments, there's some emails. I'll tell you, the vast majority of people showed a lot of grace and understood what we were dealing with. Some people, they just want to be heard for whatever reason. And Coach Minton, you know, I think the biggest thing that we never really got to talk about was the regional championship game that we hosted in Waxahachie.
Yeah.
And you guys have some questions just about that one event. But we followed our capacity, I mean, to the number. And people kept saying, you guys are way over, you're way over. We had the numbers to back it up. We had some people upset because Coach Minton flipped the link on, and 9/10 of a second later, it's sold out. But that's the way it works in any kind of event, especially when you have a smaller venue like we have for such an event that was popular and a big game for both teams. So behind the scenes, you're kind of asking about, I think that's where Coach Minton probably had the most of our conversations in those basketball games, because in January, we really pulled way back and cut it back to families. And then we were able to open it back up as we got into post-spring break mode. And we didn't really publicize it, but we started letting more people in, and we stopped taking the holds off the number of tickets that we would sell at the gate.
Is it kind of still a fluid situation? I know with everything going on in the country, there's new information all the time, but from y'all's stance, is it still like if the fall comes around and let's say things go the other way, we don't want it to, but let's say it goes the other way, is it kind of still a fluid situation where y'all take a step back and look and say, hey, maybe we should limit, maybe we should open up? I mean, is it kind of just day by day?
It is, but we're not going to get out front and make those kind of decisions early. You know, from the get-go with this whole situation, right or wrong, indifferent what people think, at least our stakeholders wanted us to go back to school. And that's what we did, you know, back 9 weeks into the school year. And so we were willing to be out front on that, you know, and try to carry on business as well as we could. But we take our lead from TEA and from the UIL, who both those bodies work together, and we're going to make good, sound decisions. But if we can get back to normal, we are. And right now, we're not expecting, as of today, we're not expecting to withhold or to create any thresholds for any venues going into the fall. In fact, I think Coach Minton sent out a tweet today, maybe, I believe all of our ticketing is going to be done online, which it really was last year. I think season ticket holders and anybody that might listen to this needs to know, and this is a reminder that we told everyone last year when we pulled season ticket holders opportunities to have those tickets. They're still theirs. It just moved into the 2021 season and then out of the 2020 season. And that starts, I believe, August 2nd, next Monday. Coach Minton, you want to talk just a second about that since we're kind of on it?
Yeah, just so people know, we're going to have our online sales for ticket renewals August 2nd to the 12th. And we're going to make a concerted effort to try to call people who may not have a good valid email address and stuff like that. But it is important to know that we are moving into an online portal. And really what that does a few things for us. Number one, it's easier to keep numbers on attendance. which we have to have for the UIL purposes and bookkeeping and stuff. But it also is easier on getting workers. And whereas you don't have to exchange money, it's very difficult to work within those parameters sometimes, especially like you said, if that Delta variant takes off and they say, hey, we're going to cut back to 75%, then we can do that in a click of a computer button and go about our business. Otherwise, we have to, look at pulling separate tickets and going through number counts and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to start that, and then we're actually on through the 12th, 2nd to 12th for online. Starting on the 14th, we're going to have a physical trade day at Global High School from like 8 to noon or something like that, 8 to 11. And then after that's done, we'll go with a online open ticket purchasing. I believe the next week that starts.
Gotcha. Well, Coach Minton, I want to start with you on this one. A lot of people don't know what happens in an athletic director's office. They don't understand, just getting the busing for all these teams and getting all that lined up, I'd pull my hair out and I ain't got none. But, just talk about just the things that, and how y'all been able to succeed in a way that I think is unique is you've got all these things you have to do to make every one of these events happen, like big greens, things like that. Y'all do an excellent job with those functionalities, but just talk about, how do y'all make it successful with all the athletes, everything you got to do, and your coaches? Y'all seem to find time for each and every one of these athletes, coaches, and programs. Can you just talk about how y'all make that happen?
Well, I'll tell you this, and Greg we talk about this quite a bit. The scheduling part in the beginning of the season is difficult, but it's not near as difficult as changing a schedule mid-season. And when you change the schedule mid-season, talking about having to change a bus driver, having to change the meals you've decided you wanted from the cafeteria that they cook for you. Now they're having to change their due date. You're having to change officials. You're having to change venues sometimes. And that's where the big thing comes in with changing. But I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that I believe the reason we've been successful is we have continuity within our program over many years. Greg's been a part of Waxahachie. He went to school here, and he knows who to call when it's time to call somebody. We have a lady, Terry, who is invaluable to our program, and she knows who to call when there's time and need. And Kathy Robertson inside, and she's trying to make those changes with us on buses and stuff like that. She picks up a phone and she knows the name of the person. Whereas if you have a lot of turnover with coaches, if you have a lot of changes, you don't have a lot of continuity because people are still trying to learn the ropes. And I think it's like any other business. The longer you've been there, you kind of know how the process works. And it works a lot easier when you know who to take care of and who to call first. Greg,
Coach Reed, I'm sorry, Coach Minton. Thought you were done there. Coach Reed, just talk about, there's a lot of great coaches over at Waxahachie. I got to sit down, a couple of them already this year. Could you just talk about that one-on-one experience with these coaches and helping them develop, and keeping them long-term?
Yeah, I think when it comes to personnel and staffing, one, summarizing what Terry just said, it's all about teamwork. Just because we don't play the sports anymore and we're adults and we're out of the playing side of it, we know coaching and we know what good solid teamwork looks like. We know what a good teammate looks like. And that's, like Terry was saying, that's what makes it work. And it's the same thing when you get into your head coaches. But what I was going to say is that's probably the one thing that when we get good people in, I don't feel much stress. I don't feel much anxiety. That usually kind of rolls off of me. I've got great people that surround us in this department. But when you get good ones, you worry about who's going to snatch them up. And I'm talking about from our rock star that's up and coming in the 7th and 8th grade program in his first year to the man or woman that's got 25, 26 years under her belt and set records and is well known among her peers and her coaching networks, and you worry about losing them and where they're going to go. So, I was never a head football coach. I was a defensive coordinator in a big program with a couple of really great mentors over the years, two of the best, I believe, that have ever been around in Texas. And so I was able to take the best of all of those things that I learned and try to utilize it. And one thing I learned from both of them is you get out of the way and you let the people that are good at what they're doing do what they do. And I make sure they have the resources they need to accomplish those things. And so from our office, we try to keep the quarterback mentality, and that's we put the praise and the great job out to everybody else, but man, we got to take the hit when something goes wrong, and it starts in our office. And I think that's echoed throughout the department. Everybody does their part. Everybody pulls their weight. Everybody fights for their program, but at the same time, they pull for each other's program and doesn't try to do one thing to another program at the expense of their numbers or expense of their talent. So multi-sport athletes, I think we put something out earlier this year about that, and we're very proud of those types of things. And I think it takes a special kind of kid to do that, and it takes special coaches like we have to work all the details that come with sharing an athlete.
A second ago, right? Those 7th and 8th grade coaches, most people don't think about the, 7th, 8th grade coaches, the freshman coaches, the JV coaches. And, we all know who the head coach is for the sport that we're following. But, the importance of those people, can you speak to that just a little bit more and what the development has been like?
It's at the very foundation of coaching, really, in any school you go to. You have all your high school coaches that coach 2 sports. They have that main sport that really drives them, they're good at, and then they have a second sport that they coach. And that's part of being well-rounded and knowing your role and treating every sport like it's the most important season that you've got. Even if you're not grown up and you cut your teeth as a track coach, you go out there, you do the absolute best job you can, and you learn from everybody else. So, but to kind of answer your question on what does that look like in our assistants roles, man, they're rock stars. We go out and we find the great ones that they do there. And what I like to say more than anything is I believe we don't have coaches in programs. We have coaching staffs. I tease Tracy Wood. I used to tease Tracy all the time. I said, man, what's it like to be the 3rd best coach on your own staff? Because we have a great staff of guys with him on the baseball team. Colton Goldberg was assistant coach of the year this year in basketball. Craig got 6A coach of the year in basketball. But, you look at that, it's on down the line. Steve Howe, we were able to bring a couple of really good coaches in for Steve in the softball program over the last couple of years. And we've seen his program take off. Nick Tanner, who you guys have already interviewed, man, our tennis program is turning the corner, and he's doing a phenomenal job with numbers. Our boys and girls soccer programs are as steady as any we have. Both had really good years this year. And again, they have people surrounding them that aren't just second sport coaches. They believe it's as important to them as anything else. So I think that's the 2 main things is they make it important no matter what it is that they're coaching. And they work within both head coaches. Because they've got to serve a principal, they got to serve the head coach they're in season with, they got to take the other head coach they're going to be with, they got to deal with the athletic office, especially Kathy over here who really runs the show, our athletic secretary. So you answer to a lot of people, and we could not do anything. This is not sustainable without the great coaches we have, and we've got about 78 total on staff right now. That's the number of our coaches, 78.
Wow.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, Coach Reed, I want to ask you this. In your position, when you're asked to help fill a spot, you got to fill a spot. We've got a new head football coach, and Coach Tolley. When you're the AD, and Coach Minton, you can speak on being the assistant. When you bring in a new head coach, or you bring in a guy who's bringing on almost a completely new staff, we got some Waxahachie guys returning, but is there a sense of excitement for the new season? I'm sure every year that the school starts, you guys are ready and rocking, ready to go. But with a new head coach, does it add a sense of you're ready to kind of see what this guy that you brought in has?
Yeah, energy is paramount in this industry. You know, you can't fool a kid into thinking that you truly care about what you do. I mean, they'll see right through you. And with Shane Tollison, I mean, you see the energy instantly when he walks into a room with you. And people probably walk by our door sometimes and it's so loud in here they may think we're fighting, but we're just talking because we get so loud with each other. But it's fun to have that energy and just feel it when you walk into an office, feel it when you walk into a weight room. And he knows how important the staff is. I think one of the greatest moves he made was Mike Dormady and Eugene Rogers, both guys who have been head football coaches. There's so much value in that. Not that it gives you any more credibility. It just gives you more guys with the head of what it's like to be a head coach. And that permeates through the rest of the staff, because you get to those corners sometime when you're back there folding laundry and you're doing 10, 12 shirts and you start talking and the coach may say something, say, man, that was, why did we do that? And that's when that guy that's been there says, you know what, this is why they did that. Until you put yourself in their shoes one day, you'll understand it. So we've got older guys, we've got younger guys, we've got a blend of diverse individuals that from PE teachers to English teachers. I mean, we have great educators in our athletic programs. And these that we've added in the football program, I think he did a phenomenal job of doing that. And we could not have done it without Tanya Harris as the principal over at the high school, and David Avert, Dr. Avert over at the administration building, and Dr. Kane, to allow us the latitude to do what we need to do to get those people in place.
And so I want to change the tone a little bit with you guys. I feel it'd be remiss not to bring this up with both you gentlemen on with us. This past week, we lost ex-Waxahachie head coach David Ream, spent 15 seasons from 2000 to 2015. Both you guys were a part of it. Mr. Minton, I'll start with you because you were there for all 15 seasons. But a guy who had tremendous impact, not only as a head football coach, but also the AD, and left a legacy here in this county and with Waxahachie. Kind of talk about your experience with David Ream, Coach Minton, the person, the leader, the mentor, and what kind of legacy he did leave behind.
Yeah, David was one of those guys that he did a lot of stuff, but you never knew it because he wasn't he wasn't a look at me guy. He just did it because he thought it was the right thing to do. And I got hundreds of stories to tell you of things that he might do, whether it's give a kid a job for the weekend to pay a bill, or to, one time we actually had to, Greg was a part of this. We went to Ennis to help a lady who was trying to move out of her house. And they had called David, said, do you have any football players to come help? And I said, yeah, we'll come down there. And we drove them down there and helped this lady, or even to mow a yard for a little old lady. She called the athletic director and said she needed a football player to come mow her yard. She couldn't pay him very much, and David said, we'll come mow it. Don't worry about it. And, it's just those kind of things that David didn't looking for any credit. He wasn't looking for any credit for all the stuff he did. It was never about him. It was always about what can we do for others. And, David's kind of like me, and others were a little bit older school. Social media is not something that we're on, tooting our horn, or, look at what we've done today, and not that that's not a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just something that in his life and in the way he was brought up, you just did it because it was the right thing to do. And that's what David Ream was. And the one thing that David really taught me as a coach was that you can be calm and collective and level head on the sidelines and not have to be something you're not. if you're an outgoing guy, which there are coaches out there who are intense 100% of the time, and that's their demeanor, that's great. But what David would teach you is, that, hey, you may not be that guy, but there's other things you have that can calm everything down. And he was really good at mentoring coaches on just being the guy you're meant to be, and not try to do something like Greg said. Those kids will see right through you. I'm not a big rah-rah guy. And David knew that. I guess that's why I was on the offensive coordinator, but Greg was a big rah-rah guy, He liked to get up and cheer and yell and all that kind of stuff on the sidelines. And I got a story about that someday too. I'll tell you differently.
Okay.
But David was just a good person all the way down. And he would talk to anybody the same way, whether, it was Tater Beard for DownHome Sports, or it was, whoever at ESPN, sports or something like that. To him, y'all were all the same. And he never, he was just that kind of guy. I'll let Greg ask to do that.
Well, Coach Reed, you filled that spot at AD, and you got to coach with him. I'm assuming you've got a really good appreciation for what he went through, but what are some of the things that you took for Coach Ream and that the public should know about David?
He was a first-class individual, and like Terry said, he was very selfless. He wanted to see you succeed wherever that was. He wasn't going to hold you back. He wasn't that guy. He'd make you think about things, just like Terry and others. I had opportunities to go and interview for some jobs and have some opportunities, and even left for 3 years. I was with him for 12 out of the 15. But he always just told me, and I've learned this and I use this to do, is man, I'm here to support you and help you reach your goals. If this is what you want to do, then how can I help you? And it was like that with everybody, and even with the kids. If you're the guy that got in once every 5 or 6 games, or you're the guy that carried the ball 36 times, he was going to treat you the same. And I think kids appreciated that, because he was fair, and he not that he was overly affectionate with those guys, but he just had that demeanor and that command of a room and of a crowd that when he stepped up and he started talking, those kids didn't move. They looked at him, they listened to him. And like Terry said, because he wasn't a rah-rah guy, if he got excited, there was good reason for it. And something usually was going to change when he did. And the kids were the same way. But as a defensive coordinator for him, I very rarely ever had to worry about much, because he managed the game so well. He was flawless in that, I believe, as a coach. I learned that the same way kind of defensively, and then how to use our time. And he'd always give me a timeout. I only got yelled at Coach Ream one time, and that was in Midlothian. I used the timeout to change defensive personnel, and he kind of yelled at me, but they threw an interception. We ran it back 60 yards the next play. So he still got his touchdown at the end of the half, but we just got it on our side. But I think the other thing I'd say about him is he was such a professional. His peers, coaches looked up to him. I tell you, as great and well-known and well-respected as Joey Florence is, and Terry can probably speak to this, Joey Florence, I mean, I could just tell when he was around David, he just admired David. And he knew that there was something about him that he wanted to emulate, he wanted to be like. And I would listen to him ask Coach Ream questions. And, and they beat us 2 or 3 times there in some pretty good runs. But he just commanded that respect from other coaches and his peers, just because he played the game with class, and he coached it the right way, and he won with great class, and he lost with great class, and it's hard not to pull for somebody like that. No, he wasn't flashy, And in today's football world, maybe I don't know how far that goes anymore. But for the hard grinding kids that we had, David Ream is what we needed for 15 years in this town. And he was great at it.
Well, and you can tell his work ethic and everything. 106 and 66 at Waxahachie with 7 district titles and 12 playoff appearances out of 15 seasons. If that don't reflect the hard work you're putting in, I don't know what does. And so, well, gentlemen, Coach Reed, Coach Minton, thank y'all so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to your family, but we really appreciate it. And I know David Ream would be proud. But thank y'all for all the hard work you do. And hopefully we can get y'all back on again and keep us updated with Waxahachie, maybe behind the scenes, and keep everybody informed. But thanks so much and good luck on the year ahead.
With today's busy schedules, we need flexibility. Pinnacle Bank is the way banking should be. With ATM Live, powered by the people. They have hours that make it easy. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can just pull up to one of the easy to access ATMs, where there's always someone live, friendly, and knowledgeable to help you. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas in a bank. Member FDIC.
Guess what, Ellis County? We're being joined tonight by the Ellis County Children's Advocacy Center, Leslie Dean. Leslie, how are you doing tonight?
I am great. I'm so great and glad to be here.
Well, first off, can you tell us just a little bit about the Ellis County Children's Advocacy Center? I can't ever say that.
It's hard to say it all together, but the Advocacy Center was built to help law enforcement and child protective services and work together jointly on child abuse investigations. And the role of the Advocacy Center is to facilitate those joint investigations and make sure that all of the partners are working together so that kids don't fall through the cracks. And we provide justice, hope, and healing. And the justice part is providing professional forensic interviews. So kids that go through an abuse situation, when they come to the center, they talk to a social worker or someone that's qualified to be able to talk to kids. And they don't have to go to the police station to do a report. They don't have to be interviewed by multiple people. And so that's what the forensic interviewer does. And then we also provide free family advocacy. So oftentimes families are going through much more than just abuse situations. Sometimes they have other needs. And so our job is to connect them with resources that are already in existence in our community, such as like if they needed food or clothing. We had a mom who needed a GED. So we connected her with some people that could help her get her GED. And so that person also can do, our family advocacy program can also do crime victims compensation, help them through the court system, be an advocate the whole time. And so they have someone that goes with them to court, or if they have to have a medical exam or something like that. And then the last thing that we do is a big deal, and it's providing the healing. And that's our mental health services. They are free to all of our victims of crime, our kiddos. And then also families oftentimes are going through really rough times. And the parents need some help. And sometimes the siblings need help. So all of our services are free. And we serve all of Ellis County. And so we have agreements with 14 different law enforcement agencies in Ellis County, and Child Protective Services and our DA's office, as well as with the 2 regional hospitals, Children's Cook Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, and then Children's Hospital in Dallas that help us with the medical exams. So we've got a big job to do here in Ellis County. And as it's grown, we have even more needs.
Well, and Seth, I actually got to take a tour one time, go over there and see the facilities and everything. And, the rooms, let's just talk about the rooms for just a second. And the design of the rooms, I mean, they seem like they're very comforting or would be comforting to a child or a parent. And, the special care that y'all take to secure each individual. There's a lot of things that go on the backside of this that I think a lot of people really aren't aware of, that I know you can't discuss right now, but just talk about the heart of the center.
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is I truly feel like families are who heal kids. Okay, we can come and we can provide services. We can provide advocacy. We can do all the things that we're designed to do. But if families are not working on all cylinders, then how are they going to help their child heal? So one of the things that I think is different now about the center is that we really have a family focus. Is like when a family comes into our system, what can we do to help that family recover? Because it's not just the child that's affected, it's the whole family. And so what can we do to strengthen that family and help them to help their child recover? The other thing that I think of that's really important to our model is that we are only as strong as our multidisciplinary team. And that team, just like I'm thinking like football, offense and defense. You may have great offense, but if you don't have good defense, you're going to have high score games, but it's going to be a high score on both sides, right?
Yep.
So our MDT is made up of law enforcement, child protective services, our DA's office, juvenile DAs, our court systems, the medical providers, the victim advocates, the forensic interviewer, all of these professionals. We come together and we staff cases and we make sure that kids don't fall through the cracks and cases don't fall through the cracks. That's our job. And so I think that is, when you talk about the heart of what we do, it's working together and bringing people together in a way that they don't normally work. Everybody kind of works in their own silo unless we kind of force each other to work together. And that's really what the whole center was. That was why we were born out of that need. When you have law enforcement and child protective services, a lot of times they're seeing the same families, or they may have information on what's going on in the civil investigation that could help the law enforcement investigation and vice versa. And also just for law enforcement to have an understanding of what's going on with that family helps them to serve their victims better. So I think a lot goes into that. And, I just found that we had a huge need in the Ellis County area. There was over 100 children on our waiting list when I came in. And the team went to work immediately in trying to reduce that waiting list for mental health services. Through the pandemic, we saw some real changes in the types of cases that were coming into the center. Our teachers they're basically our frontline reporters, and they often report things on low levels, and they catch things early. And over the pandemic, we were seeing a lot more critical cases, domestic violence, things like that. That was where law enforcement was responding to an incident, and then out of that, the children were having to come to the center. So that's changed a little bit. And then just the need for mental health services has just been like a tsunami. Like it was kind of quiet for a little while, but all of a sudden those needs have really risen in Ellis County. And we're trying to answer that need. And fundraising really helps us to do that because all of the positions that we have at the center, the majority of them are professional positions where you have to have a certain degree or a certain license to be able to provide services. And that's kind of hard to come by, you know. I can't just fill it with volunteers, unfortunately. And so we have some overhead, you know, that we have to take care of. And we get money from grants and from federal grants, from state grants. We get United Way funds, and that still doesn't meet our needs. So we have to raise the remainder of the funds in order to meet our community's need.
Well, and Seth, I mean, what are some of the sports we cover around here? What's one of the big ones we've been doing lately?
Lately?
Yeah.
You talking about like clay shooting?
Clay shooting, there we go.
Okay.
Clay and sports shooting. So we're going to reach out to Ellis County right now, folks, all of our clay sports, trap shooters, everything like that. The Children's Advocacy Center is having their first annual Sporting Clay Classic, and it's going to be August the 27th at the Ellis County Sportsman's Club. And get out there and support this. You know, like Ms. Dean said, you know, they can't take a lot of volunteers, but what they can use, and unfortunately we need this in our county, is the support of organizations like this that can be there for these kids and these families and support them in the way that they need to be supported. But so is there any way that anybody can get involved? You got a website, etc.?
Yes, our website is, of course, www. It's elliscountycac.org. And then if you go to our events page, it'll have information about the event. It'll have a register button, and you can just click there. If you want to do sponsorships, we're still accepting sponsorships. We have a lot of ways to be able to advertise your business, and there's lots of different levels of sponsorship. So if you're on a tight budget this year with your business and you'd still like to support, we have great sponsorship opportunities for you. And if you'd like to spend a little bit more and have a bigger ad presence, we have that as well. And then you can also sign up to be a part of the event as a shooter. We have teams of 4, or you can sign up individually and we'll place you with a team. So now's the time to sign up for that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've had a bunch of the kids on here. They just got back from nationals, about 4 of them. And if you're from Red Oak, Ennis, Waxahachie, Midlothian, I know y'all got a shotgun club. Seth, what we need to tell them to do?
We need to tell them, one, to go sign up for the Ellis County Children's Advocacy Center first clay shooting classic. And 2, we need to tell them to also tell their friends and their parents and their loved ones, get everybody out there, because I know everything that you guys do, you don't do it for the recognition. And what you're doing is amazing work. And this is an opportunity to shine a spotlight on an organization that maybe doesn't get the attention it needs. And so we hope we can help, but everyone out there that hears this, get out there and be a part of it, because I know the Advocacy Center would really appreciate it. I know you appreciate it, Leslie, because we appreciate everything that you do. And while it may not seem like a lot of people know, that your work does not go unnoticed.
Oh, that means a lot to me. And I can tell you, you know, used to we did big galas, and this year just is not a gala year. This year is a get outside. Get outside. We had a purse bingo earlier in the year that was out at the Ellis County Youth Center. So we were kind of halfway inside and halfway outside. This is an outside event. So, you know, it's a COVID year. We're going to do things a little differently. And we just want to have fun, get out there with your family and your friends. And I think that the clay shoot is going to go around to the different stations would be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it, even though it's the first time we've done it. And really, when you see people doing something fun to support your organization, there's a great deal of motivation for us to keep going and keep doing the hard work that we do. So I can't wait for my staff to see everybody coming out and to support us.
Well, I can tell you this much. I can't be out there to shoot because I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if I was standing a foot away from it. But what I can offer you is if you need a dunk tank victim, I'm your man.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay.
Take him up on that.
But folks, definitely get out there and help us out with this, help them raise some money so all these kids can be taken care of. And, you know, all of our clay teams, get out there. We know we got a lot of sportsmen out in Ellis County. Get out there and be a part of this. And Leslie, thank you for coming on and sharing this with us tonight.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk a little skeet shooting with you. And just remember to come out and support the kids.
There we go.
August 27th at the Ellis County Sportsman Club. Be there. Leslie, thank you so much and have a good evening.
In Ellis County, there's only one place to go, Doe City Pizza and Burgers. But don't worry, they got you also covered on ice cream as well. All kinds of flavors made in-house, just specially for you. And toppings to boot, as many as you like. So count your blessings for Doe City Pizza and Burgers and those big old scoops the size of Texas. Made just the way you want. So head on down to Doe City where the service and food are both delicious. Doe City Pizza and Burgers located in Red Oak, Texas, right across from the high school. Come on down and try them.
Take her away, Hoss.
We good to go?
We good to go.
We are welcoming in the head coach and AD at Midlothian Heritage, Coach Lee Wignton, but maybe more importantly for this show, the THSCA president, newly elected. Welcome in. Congratulations. And I guess first question out the gate, this was not the first time nominated, but you got elected. How does it feel? I mean, is that an honor that you just sit back? It's one of those things in your career that it's just, that's pretty impressive.
Well, it's still unreal to me, to be honest with you. You know, it's being nominated once was an honor that I couldn't have even dreamt of. I mean, literally could not dreamt of. And then, this year being nominated against or with two wonderful friends. Bob Wager at Arlington Martin, been a friend for a very long time. Ron Ritteman, who's over at Alamo Heights now in San Antonio, same thing, been very close to him for a long time. So it was just, it was really just almost embarrassing to even have my name mentioned next to those two. So again, just a tremendous honor to be a part of the association, but then much less be nominated for something like this.
Well, I would like to know, just you're already a busy man. You got the football season starting up. You got your AD duties. What extra responsibility does this add to your already full plate?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know right now all of them that are going to be piled on there. But with that being said, there's no way that my name would be mentioned for an honor like this if it weren't for the coaches that I work with anyway. And really probably what it means is it'll just be more thrown on them. And what that means is the further I'm out of the mix, the better it'll be done. And that's just the reality. I mean, I work with the best coaches on the planet. And, again, they'll anytime I'm not there, it's going to be better off.
Well, Coach, we know that you're the president-elect for this next year, but who are the other officers that are going to be serving with you on the THSCA?
Well, so you have a past president. Okay. Yeah. So Rodney Webb was the president. And then I guess Wednesday morning he goes off of that. So he becomes past president. John King was president-elect. So he moves into president. And then I move into the president-elect position. So that's the three officers. Then at the Coaches Association, you have, executive director, Joe Martin, and his assistant executive director, Glenn West. So that's the officers. Then there are board of directors. So the state of Texas is split up into 8 regions, and each region has a board member each year. It's a few years into the process until you're actually on the board. And then for 3 years, you serve on the board. So you work up to being a senior director. So there's 24 people in that role. And then there's what's called at-large members. So there's, I guess, 4 additional at-large members. So 32 total directors. And that would make up the whole shebang.
Wow. And Coach, let's just go over the numbers from the convention y'all were at last week. Down in San Antonio. largest in the country, 14,153 coaches in attendance. Is that
Yes, sir.
good? I mean, y'all did
Great.
23 mandatory education virtual opportunities, 200 plus on-site lecture hours, 7 panel discussions, and you had 15 networking events. And Seth, they did this all in 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. The association has worked so hard, just, really in so many different ways, just to preserve sports. Let's just take the game of football. It's for a number of years been under attack across the nation for, different reasons, but, talking tackling specifically. So our association is way ahead of the game, and not surprisingly, but really has changed the nation, because people kind of want to follow suit with what Texas is doing. But we're into the second level of our Advocacy tackling certification. It's just a way to make the game safer, and just to help preserve the game. But then outside of football, our association's just done such a great job of really making it the Texas High School Coach Association, just an all-inclusive, so there was forever we've had Texas High School Coach Association, just as there's basketball coach association, a girls coach association, a baseball coach association. Well, in my mind, it was always that the THSCA was the umbrella, and then each of those other associations were a part of the Texas High School Coach Association. Well, I don't think that was the way a lot of these coaches of these different sports and associations felt. They probably just felt that they weren't included always. They weren't represented. All the things you mentioned about the convention, they might have felt like there wasn't enough of that directed toward their focus. They can't say that now. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's literally the best speakers in the country in every sport and every facet of athletics. It's amazing what the association has done.
Well, and y'all had a women in coaching forum talking about that subject right there. You had Jody Conrad, Susan, Elza, Sylvia, Salinas, just name a few of them. Talk about the growth and the representation of women coaches and girls athletics through the THSCA. Yeah,
it's wonderful. I remember back when I was on the board, I was leading our regional meeting, and it was something that we were really working hard towards to really just seeing where the girls sports, the coaches of girls sports were, where they stood and how they felt. And I can remember that meeting vividly. I was so excited about it, and we split up and we had advisory meetings. So there was a football advisory member who led a football meeting, a baseball advisor who led a baseball, and all these different meetings. Well, then I took the coaches of girls sports. So I went and had a little meeting, and I'm sitting over there, and I had dreams that it was going to be the most wonderful meeting ever. And they're going to say, thank you so much for thinking of us, for including us. And I really think that meeting led to a lot of the changes that we moved towards as an association. Coach Martin and Coach West have and Coach Webb as the president for a couple of years there, that did so many different things. But in that meeting, I just said, hey guys, I just want to hear it all. Spill your guts. How do you feel? And this one lady was sitting there, and she was a volleyball coach at Copper's Cove, has won 1 million games. And she said, you sit up there and you talk about THSCA as the umbrella of all sports, and it's all inclusive and it represents everything. And she said, and then you split up into these advisory meetings. And she said, just out of curiosity, who's the representative for volleyball in these advisory meetings? And I said, well, we don't have one at this time. She said, how about softball? And so it was just a great wake up call that, our association, we say we're all inclusive. Well, there was just some things that had been overlooked in the years, So again, Coach Martin and Coach West, and they made some changes and include so many. There's first ever female board of director in the Texas High School Coach Association right now. Just so many things that are wonderful for the association and all the coaches within it.
Well, Coach, I want to ask. There's a guy there that got to speak, and I believe he is the OU head football coach in Lincoln Riley. That was the first time, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but like 52 years since the sitting coach in Oklahoma came to speak at the Texas High School Coach Association. Want to talk about It's got to be humbling, but it also, as a guy who you're sitting up there and he's about 10, 15 years younger than you are. But listening to a guy at his age, where he's at, speak as a coach, when you sit back and listen, talk about what that experience is like, and then the experience to see the impact that having guys like that come back to the high school community as a whole, and what kind of impact that gives these coaches to help coach their kids to try to make it to that next level.
Yeah. Well, it's just huge. It's so humbling. When you think about really just Texas high school sports, but Texas high school football, since you're mentioning Lincoln Riley, you think that, yes, the largest coaching conventions for sure in the country. But it just, we all see Lincoln Riley and we're like, oh my gosh, really Lincoln Riley? And then to think that he would probably tell you what an incredible honor it was for him to be able to speak in that convention. That's how crazy it is. But when you talk about that number of coaches in attendance, the room beyond packed, you talk about how important this state is to his recruiting. As huge of a thrill it was for all of us, he would probably say it was just as incredible an honor for him. And then what was so crazy is he just happened to be followed up by a guy named Nick Saban. That was a speaker after him. So unbelievable is what it was.
Well, and Coach, Matt Rule on Twitter stepped out. And folks, if you don't know who Matt Rule is, he's not the Carolina Panther head coach. He's the former Baylor head coach. Let's get that straight.
Yes.
But he put out there, THSCA elected one of the best there is. Lee Wignton is one of the best men and coaches I know. And knowing you the little bit that I do, how much more important, and could you just elaborate a little bit to the importance of outside of the lines, what you've been able to do and what the coaches do around the state outside the lines with these players and mentoring them to become great young men and women?
Yeah. Well, Tater, again, I've been in this town for going on 12 years now and known you for almost that whole time. And that means a lot for you to say that, because I thought the world of you since you coached my baby girl years and years and years ago. But, it's everyone in the state, and it's, again, I think because of the leadership of our association that, we're going to coach, and it doesn't matter what sport we're coaching. We're going to step on the diamond, the court, the field, whatever. And we're going to try to bring our best. We're going to try to be prepared to play at an extremely high level every game. And when we are playing, we're going to try to do everything we can to win within the rules. But then we step off the field or the court or the diamond, and we know that was just something that we get to do. What our calling is and what our profession is about is just preparing these young men and women for life after sports. So it's again, we started up our meetings. We had our middle school and freshman camp going on, and we're in our coaching meetings, and so much of what we meet about right now is just about the different ways to do those things, just to create experiences. Because we meet with kids every year that I've coached. I meet with our athletes in one-on-one season-ending meetings, and part of that meeting is going to be tell me the most memorable part of playing in this football program. And we haven't won at an extreme level, but we've won at places that I've been, and here we've won some games, but not one single time do you hear them talk about any of those. You don't hear them talking about holding up a gold trophy. You don't hear them talking about a last-second victory, how cool that was. What you hear them talking about are the things that 99.9% of the people in the world have no idea that our football program is about. They're going to talk about, our teacher appreciation breakfast that we do. You're going to talk about our car wash. They're going to talk about the ice cream floats for the student trainer, just the little things that are just about creating memories in a positive way, and doing things to reach out to others and to make their life better. And what's so neat is seeing that those are the things that these young men love. So what it's done for us is that's where our focus is. We still try to have a good play here or there. We're still going to try to work as hard as we can, but we know what's most important about this.
Well, Coach, one of the things I think gets lost with the THSCA is the education formats that y'all put out for coaches around the state. I know one of the new programs is the Rock Learning.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk about some of the information that y'all are able to put out in training?
Yeah, there's so many different things that the association has done over the last few years. A number of them. One, for instance, is a way to keep the young coaches involved. So there's the fear of coaches starting and being overwhelmed. And there's a lot on the plate of a teacher coach. I mean, a lot on the plate. And, just a school like ours, we have, a guy very well, one of my best all-time friends, Justin Blackwell, just happens to be a phenomenal football coach. So he's going to put in his 80 hours a week throughout football season. And, he's also a head baseball coach. So the day football ends, it just flips the script there. And, he's also an AP teacher. So, what's on the plate of these people is overwhelming, So the association has started programs to say, well, how can we keep these young people enthused and passionate and give them the help they need to continue and last in this profession. So it's just, things like that. It's just, again, Joe Martin and Glenn West at the association, their passion is this profession and doing everything they can and give everything they can to the coaches of the association to be successful. So when someone within the association brings a concern, it doesn't mean every single time they're going to start a new program, but they're certainly going to exhaust every option to see if it's something that makes sense, could be productive, and is feasible. And if so, it's going to happen.
Well, Coach, many of the teams in the county are going to be hosting a benevolence fund and having our Day to Shine games. Can you explain kind of the background of these and how they will help across the state?
Yeah, and it's I'm glad you asked that, because it's all sports, and again, kind of like we've said, a lot of things that have come across that so many people maybe weren't aware of. But, our Coach Spradley, our softball coach, his people do it at their first home scrimmage of every sport. That's kind of the roadmap of when you should do it. So you simply, as you go to a football game, there's a gate, you pay to get in. For this Our Day to Shine game, whenever you say you're having that home scrimmage, you simply, for better words, put a bucket out and say, this is our Day to Shine, and any donations would be gladly accepted. And they drop a quarter, drop a dollar, drop a $5 bill, whatever in the hat. That money goes to the THSCA Benevolence Fund. And then that money is used to help either coaches and or athletes, families of athletes that have something tragic happen. You could imagine different things. I mean, a coach be diagnosed with a terminal cancer, something, just all different sad things that could take place. But it's just another way the association is there to say, look, this isn't going to cure, this isn't the savior of what's going on. But it's a way for this association to say, we love you, we think about you, and we hope this can help out a little bit. So it's really neat. And again, it's just coaches at their home scrimmage simply taking the time to do that and then sending it into the benevolence fund.
Well, and Coach, you had the induction of the 2020 class for the Hall of Fame, and those are including Bob Alpert, Gerald Brents, Joey Florence, who we talked to Coach Reed about just a little bit ago, John Parchman, and Joe Bob Tyler. And I'm sure Coach York could either play golf or has a story on every one of these people over there. But, also a local legend kind of around here for us is Joey McGuire, also went in. And, I know you've had the opportunity to talk to him before he went to Baylor and stuff like that. Just talk about these gentlemen and what they represent from the THSCA.
Yeah, everything that's great is what they represent, and to us, it's just the roadmap. They're the, what we strive to be like, and I've just grown up and had so much appreciation and respect for the men and the leaders of this association, and then people like that who are living legends, complete and utter all of those type people. And then to be able to be around them and to see that they're so real, it's just awesome. You're able to continue to learn from them, both the way they carry themselves, the way they coached and or coach in different aspects or times of their life. But then just in conversations, it's just really, really, really encouraging to everyone within this profession. But to me, such a blessing to just to get to be around them and to see how they've done it successfully, but right for so long.
Well, Coach, I know you take this with honor, but we want to say again, congratulations, President-elect THSCA. We appreciate you taking time out of your evening to join us. And if you would do us a favor, hopefully we can have you back on the net and talk some Midlothian Heritage football. But we wanted to get you in and congratulate you. And again, well deserved. And from us to you, we know they got the right man for the job. And congratulations.
Elite Tire and Automotive. Ever have one of those days and just need a little hand? Well, with our remote services, we'll just hop right on it. Get you back on the road quick and easy. With automotive services to cover all your mechanical needs. Need that state inspection done? Well, we can do that too. So roll on in and see a friendly face. Give us a call and we can be right on the spot to assist you. So trust the friendly folks down at Elite Tire and Automotive, 972-775-1055. Hey, Ellis County, guess what? We got the legendary Coach Gaylor here with us. And Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Glad to.
Okay, and Coach, let's talk about the golf program and just golf in general. I don't think enough people realize that golf is a lifelong sport, and it really affords these young men and women that are out in Ellis County playing it an opportunity to propel themselves in further ways.
Correct. It's something that when you start it at a young age and stuff, it's something you'll be able to do for your whole lifetime. And that's why you can go out on the golf course now. I played with about 12 guys this morning. All of us were 70 years or older, except for one guy. Something you can do. It's enjoyable. Teaches a lot of life lessons. Girls have to work together and learn skills and set goals and just things that you're going to have to do in life.
Well, and Coach, one of the things that I've always brought up about golf is just the mental aspect of it and how it prepares you for the unthinkable to happen. You just got to prepare. You can prepare for a course, but you can't prepare for exactly where your ball lands and what that net shot's going to look like. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Correct. I try to tell our girls, I got a grandson that's really into golf, that one of the most important things that you can do is to take it one shot at a time. You're going to have some good shots. You're going to have some bad shots. But if you're worried about a bad shot, then your net shot's probably going to be bad. You just have to take it one shot at a time. Don't worry about what your score is or be looking ahead. Well, if I par this out, then I can shoot a certain score. You just got to take it one shot at a time. You got to play the course. And even though in high school it's a team sport, it's also an individual sport also.
And is there not a lot to that? I mean, because, everybody sees golf and they see the PGA, right? And there's these big grandstands and, a high school course or junior high course, even for that point, there's not a lot of people out there. There's a couple of parents following groups and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of cheering going on. But how good is it to have that for these young ladies to have those people back at the clubhouse to go over everything with and look forward to that next round and give tips and stuff?
Well, that's one thing that we've been fortunate with here at our group of girls when I had it at Graham and then here at Waxahachie, that we have a very supportive parent group that most of our tournaments, there'll be that's 3 or 4 of the 6 or 7 girls that are playing that day. Their parents are able to come watch their kids play. I just got back from watching a grandson play down in Fredericksburg, drove all the way down there to watch him play. So, and then when you have that support and stuff, there's just a smile from them or a thumb up kind of, gets them back on track.
Well, and one of the big things I don't think a lot of people understand is we got AAU basketball, we got 7-on-7 in summer for football, and now we've got a couple of young people around the county that are playing in the North Texas PGA. There's a lot of golfing events over the summer so they can keep their skills honed. How much is that helping some of these younger players?
Without a doubt, your competition and playing in tournaments is probably one of the best things you can do besides having lessons with your swing coach and stuff. You can go play with your dad, you can go play with your granddad, you can go play with a friend, but there's nothing that takes the place of competition with other players.
Well, we had the opportunity to talk to the Waxahachie Golf Club, Anthony Hopkins over there, and they've got this new program called, I think it's Operation 36, where you're playing from different distances. And, I just think that could help these kids with their skills, playing from different distances, learning the shots. But how many innovations? I mean, I'm a cow-handed swinger, but I'm going to be hunting for Bigfoot in the woods all the time. But when you see these young kids and these new technology things and stuff like that, does that not inspire you to see this next generation of golfers kind of grow as well?
Well, it's just like any other avenue of things that we have. The technology has improved. Balls, equipment, clubs, the teaching aspect. All of our girls have a swing coach and stuff that they go to. The technology that they use, the lasers and the equipment that's available to them is nothing compared to what we had 15, 20 years ago. So it does nothing but help if they're sincerely interested in raising their game to the next level.
One, I know from talking to people about you, in a positive way, by the way, but you mean a lot to these young players. And, it's not just the sport itself. It's a lot more about life when you're coaching players at this age. How important is that to you? And what's one of the main things that you want every player that leaves your program to understand?
Well, one thing that somebody asked me, what do I do as a golf coach? And I tell her there's three main things that I try to do. One, that the girls have to have a swing coach. I'm not a swing coach. Coach Koch, our boys coach, is one of the top three in the state as being a swing coach. But we got girls that go to surrounding areas to have lessons. They have them there at the Waxahachie with Anthony and with Coach Mike. And so that's important for their swing coach. And so I'm not going to mess with their swing a whole lot unless it's something very, very radical that we need to address. Because I tell them one thing and their swing coach tells them something else. It doesn't work. So the three things that I emphasize that I want to do as a coach at Waxahachie, that I want to make practice where they're being able to use the skills that they're acquiring with drills and things to keep it interested, to make it fun. And then the next thing I want them to be able to do is to feel good about themselves. And the third thing that I want to do is, like I tell my wife, I want to spoil them.
Well, I tell you what, that's a good recipe right there for success. And, you've got some good golfers. You have a good season last year. What is the expectation for the Lady Indians golf this year, Coach?
Well, we only graduated one senior, Allison Heflin. So out of 8 varsity girls, we got 7 varsity girls coming back. We got several that were on the JV, and we got 5 freshmen coming. So as of right now, I think we got about 15 golfers, which is the most we've ever had since I've been here. So now it's whichever one of them that wants to take their game to the next level, have their lessons, have their practices, the extra work that they want to do. Golf is pretty simple as far as, we want the people that can shoot the low score. You can be a really super person, but if somebody else's score is a lot better than yours, then, we're going to put out on the course the the girls that have the best can give us the best scores.
Well, but also, isn't it, you know, from a player perspective, building them up, especially younger players like the freshmen coming in, is getting those personal bests, right? Getting those scores down a little bit to where you start attaining what these upperclassmen are doing.
That's right. The 8 girls or the 7 girls that are coming back, we know where they were when the season was over. My expectation is when we start the school year, our first term is going to be in September, that I hope their game is picked up. I know several of them has been playing in some tournaments this summer. Some of them been having some lessons. I've seen some of them out at the course practicing and stuff. So, you know, some of them are working, some of them got some other things going on. So it's just who wants to step up to, you know, to be in that spot they want to be when that first tournament comes.
Well, and, you know, can you kind of explain to people a little bit that don't, you know, really know high school golf? You know, there's 2 seasons in high school golf. You got, you know, the fall and then the spring. Can you talk about that and how you get to kind of establish yourself, but you're still under the pressure of winning, but then you've got the end of the year where you have another opportunity?
The ULL allows us 8 tournaments, and we can split them up any way we want to. 5 in the fall, 2 in the spring, 4 and 4, 5 and 3. The last couple of years, we've been doing 5 in the fall because we have a whole lot better weather, and we're trying to get things off and running. And then 3 in the spring, and then we have district, and that doesn't count as one of the tournaments. We have state testing in the spring. We have the weather's usually not quite as good in February. So there's a lot of variables that make, you know, one year we lost about 2 tournaments in the spring because they just got either rained out or we weren't able to pick up any other tournaments anywhere. So this year I'm planning on doing 5 again, 5 in the fall, 3 in the spring, getting ready for a district tournament. And then when we go to district, they take the top 3 teams in district goes to regionals. Excuse me, the top 2 team goes to regionals. And then the top 2 medalists that are not on one of those 2 teams also qualify for regionals. We had one girl last year, Vanessa Garza, that was right in the hunt for, she shot a 79 her first round of district, went even par on her last 9 holes, which was just fantastic. And she was right in the hunt for a trip as one of the medalists. But then the Midway girl and the girl from Mansfield, was
it Legacy?
Lake Ridge. They edged her out for a couple of strokes and stuff. So that was disappointing to her and stuff. But she's coming back, and I know she will have been working this summer with lessons and playing and just getting ready for the upcoming season. One thing I would like to add, something that we do that's a little different that we started about 4 or 5 years ago. We have a character coach, Tracy from Avenue Church, that she's a certified character coach and stuff. And she comes in on Mondays for about 15 to 20, 25 minutes the first of practice. And I call it Girl Talk with Tracy. And
that's great.
I have no idea what they talk about. I just know with 15 girls, they need somebody that they can talk to about things that they won't talk to a male coach about, something they don't want to talk to their mom about.
Sure.
And I ask them every year, I said, do y'all still want to have girl talk? Oh, yeah, coach, we got to have that. We got to have that. So
that's greatness. Well, it sounds like you need to get the culinary chef involved too, to make treats so you can spoil these girls a little bit more.
Well, they like my fruit pizza. That's probably one of my favorite things that they like for me to do. And then on their birthdays, my wife fits a cherry cheesecake and decorate it up with green and white ribbon, and we deliver to them on their birthday and stuff. So it's just about, you know, making them feel good about themselves, help them to have the most success that they can have, and feel good about it. And there's going to be those times they don't feel good, and that's when I'm there to try to pick them up and get them to forget about the bad shot or taking a triple on a hole or so and come back and get focused on one shot at a time. For most of our girls, we always tell them we want a bob, B-O-B. We want a bogey or better. And if they can learn to bogey or better every hole that they play, they're going to be shooting down in the 80s somewhere, and they're going to be ecstatic about it. And then some of them, we don't want bogey or better. We're on pars and birdies for Vanessa and stuff. But just little things that make them click and stuff. And I have a fantastic group girls. We have team dinners. We do things as a group. We do some things in the community with toy drive for Christmas. We have Thanksgiving banquet. We help with the setting up and the decorations, or not decorations, setting up for the craft show that Ms. Kriegel does every year right before Christmas. Our baseball team and boys golf and girls golf help set up, carry tables and stuff in for all the vendors there at Coleman. So we want it to be golf, but then there are some days that when it rains or it's cold and stuff, we might watch a video about golf rules, or we've even played dodgeball with the tennis team one day. Neither one of us go outside. So just things to make it a fun program, but at the same time to be serious about our golf game and trying to bring it to the next level.
Well, and Coach, before we let you go here, what is one thing that you would tell a young lady out there, that may be apprehensive about coming out for golf or, continue to play or whatever? What would one thing about the sport be that you would advise them why they should continue?
That'll be something that they'll could do the rest of their lives. A lot of their work is done on the golf course these days. A lot of it is men's, but some of them are women. And there's so many opportunities for girls to get scholarships in golf now. I have one that's playing up in Kansas right now, one that's playing at East Texas Baptist in Marshall, had one that went to Stephen L. Falston, but there was so much work with golf and her schooling that schooling was number one for her, so she opted for that. And I got one that graduated this year. She had the opportunity to play golf on a smaller scale of college level, but she's ready to go to Texas A&M and start her schooling. So, kids are different, but there's scholarships available out there for kids. Our booster club is fantastic. It's probably one of the best booster clubs I've ever been associated with. And we raise enough money with our tournaments and fundraisers and stuff. We give each one of our graduating seniors a $1,000 scholarship to go off to school. So
that is
there's opportunities amazing there, but it's not about that. It's about doing something you enjoy doing and do the best you can at it, and play the rest of your life.
Well, Coach, we know it looks like you enjoy what you're doing and you're good at it. And I tell you what, we can't thank you enough for the kind of people that you put out in this world and you've inspired through coaching. And we just want to give a tip of the cap to you, your program, and can't wait to see the great things that these young ladies are going to be able to accomplish this year.
I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Have a great day.
Elite Foot and Body, therapeutic massage and assisted stretching. We push our bodies to the limit, trying to gain that extra edge to be ready to take the field when that whistle blows. So take care of the most important equipment, your body, with massage, compression therapy, assisted stretching. So when you're ready to play at an elite level. Elite Foot and Body
Therapeutic massage and assisted stretching in Midlothian, Texas, off of 663. Call 214-817-8545 for your appointment today.
All right, folks, guess what? We're going wrestling this time. We got Karson Tompkins, MHS wrestler, and not only that, Seth, but he's all over the United States wrestling this summer. Well, Karson, let's talk about this, okay? So the first thing you went to this summer that we saw, and fill us in if we're wrong on this, okay, was you became a part of Team Texas. Talk about that and earning that spot.
Yes, sir. In order to make it to Team Texas, you had to win Freestyle State or Greco State. I only did Freestyle, so I won Freestyle State, which qualified me for the Team Texas team.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, you did it in freestyle, but then you also wrestled the Greco style and freestyle at Nationals. As a guy who did not wrestle, talk about the differences, because if someone just hears, yeah, I'm doing Greco, yeah, freestyle, normal person is going to be like, what? I thought you just wrestled. So talk to us and explain kind of the differences, maybe some similarities, and the techniques that go into both.
All right. Well, freestyle and Greco are very similar, except for in Greco, you're not allowed to touch the legs. It's for freestyle, like every roll, every exposure of back is 2 points. And that's the same in Greco. The rules are basically all the same, except for in Greco, you're just not allowed to touch the legs.
There you go. Well, I mean, first off, the first one I saw that you did this summer was going to Nationals in Indianapolis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You went Seth, the kid went 11-3 overall. He was 6-2 in Greco. Just talk about showing out like that at Nationals.
It was good. We the team went up to Nationals and we did pretty good. And I've never wrestled Greco before, and so I was already qualified for it. So when I was in Indianapolis, I just wrestled Greco, and it was a good experience doing Greco.
Sweet.
Now, did you get to wrestle at the Fargo Dome, if I understand correctly?
Yes, sir.
Talk about going up there. I mean, that's pretty far north. It's a little different than it is down here. Talk about the experience of going up there and wrestling in the Fargo Dome.
Going into Fargo, it was very scary. People hyped it up very much. But when you get there, you realize that everyone else is a wrestler and they're not that much different than you.
I was going to say, I know wrestling has started to catch a lot of momentum in Texas. I know it's big in Oklahoma, but especially when you start getting up north, is it just kind of like a cultural difference in how serious they take wrestling up there?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, the closest thing around here that we have is Sci-Fair. Could you tell people based on Sci-Fair, like the overall scope, how many wrestlers were up in Fargo?
There was it was a range of 70 to 130 people each weight class. So there was a lot of people up there.
So you're looking roughly right around 1,200 people up there wrestling in the 16 and under class, right?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Well, I mean, you go in day one, you go 3-1, but Seth, I mean, this is the thing about wrestling, right? That's why you got to wrestle till the last second. Last 9 seconds, that last match of the day, it got turned on you a little bit. But just talk about the mental fortitude, because, I mean, when you're doing these events, you're wrestling for your team, but you're wrestling individually as well. Just talk about, how to overcome that, that kind of thing. Whenever you had a really good day. 3-1 is not a bad day in wrestling, but how do you keep that momentum going?
You just have to go up there and realize that this was my first year in Fargo. This was just the experience year and me already doing that good up there. I was just going up there to try to prove myself to be ready there for next year.
Like it, just building that experience, getting ready to take that as you move forward. One thing I want to talk to is, as a young man, I know when I was your age, eating was just kind of, I ate whatever I wanted. I couldn't imagine being disciplined as far as just at 16 or 17 years old, just trying to have an eating regimen, even as an athlete. But talk about your food prep. Talk about the diet that you have to take and kind of the I'm not saying rules, but the restrictions you put on yourself that you have to maintain so you can hit these weight classes.
So my weight class is 182, and I was walking around 190. So I weighed by quite a bit, and my dad got me on a meal plan. I was eating breakfast, lunch, and then like certain meals in between those to get my weight low, start working out. And when I got up to the practice, my weight just started dropping because of how hard they practice up there. So the weight wasn't that hard, but then once you get to North Dakota, you're like 1 pound over, 2 pounds over. You just have to really practice hard up there and watch your weight. Like a lot of people there would be like 3 pounds over on the day of. You just got to watch it.
Well, what's your favorite meal when you're regimenting, and then what's your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite meal when I'm on a diet plan would be the chicken and rice, just chicken and rice. And my cheat meal, probably anything like a burger. I love burgers. So
any particular place? Whataburger? I mean, Five Guys?
yeah, probably Whataburger.
Whataburger.
There we go. Well, one of the other things that most people don't realize is I mean, when two people at 182 pounds are pressing against each other, the amount of energy that's given up there and the amount of strain on the body. Just talk about, I think this is something that most people don't get is the amount of time it takes to recover.
Yeah.
From a one-day match. I mean, talk about the recovery process for y'all.
So it's two for 16U, it's 2 2-minute rounds, and then in between you get a 30-second break. For juniors, it's 2 3-minute rounds. So I was only doing 2-minute rounds. And in between is when the coaches would talk to us, like have us breathe, get us water, and we go back out and wrestle. And then after it, you would make sure to really hydrate your body so you're ready for your next match. But you have like a good 40 minutes between the matches.
Well, and what about that night in between matches, right? How much of that time is recovery with, like on your legs, on your back? Are y'all doing special regiments of recovery overnight for these matches?
Not really. You just, after you rest, make sure to really hydrate your body and just make sure you're getting a good stretch in your matches so you don't get a cramp when you're wrestling. But besides that, you don't really do anything extra.
Well, and how important is stretching in wrestling? I mean,
it's really important. You can catch a cramp so easy in wrestling. So you need to make sure you're really hydrated before every match.
Well, we've had a few wrestlers on the show before, and, everybody's told us, that they like this certain move to try to wrap somebody up. What is your go-to move to try to finish an opponent off?
Probably with freestyle, it would probably just be like when I'm on top, just a gut wrench or a leg lace. Just keep it simple and neutral. Probably just like an arm drag or something simple like that.
Okay. And, this is preparing you for hopefully a run at a state championship this year in high school. And that's not an easy classification that you're in. That's a lot of good people. Just talk about how this is getting you prepared for that high school state championship run as well.
Well, when you go all the way around the world, you start to realize how much better people are in different parts of like where they live. When you go up to North Dakota, you're facing people from Oklahoma, Ohio, like all around the world that isn't just from Texas. So it really makes you expand your competition and go against people that are really good.
And I'm guessing, and like you said, high school freestyle is kind of what you're working with. So I'm guessing the Greco, it does help eventually when you come back to high school and you're going back to those freestyle rules. Do you feel like that adds something to the game when you're not allowed to go and touch those legs?
Greco is weird without being able to touch the legs. It's like you got to really be more upper body. It's more throwing. It's way faster because you got to like really throw. That's the main way to get people down. But yeah, it's completely different.
Well, Seth, like we said earlier, the kid had never done Greco before. He's up at Fargo, one of the biggest matches in the nation, comes in 20th in Greco.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then he's in the top 16 in freestyle. Okay. Now, without being humble, brag on yourself a little bit, considering the fact that's the first time you've gone against that size competition, right? How happy are you with the results that you were able to come out with?
I was really happy. When I was going in there, I had no idea how good I would do. And for me to be able to do that good, I would myself.
Well, awesome. Well, man, we appreciate you taking time out of your evening to come on and join with us. And I love talking about it. You're educating me every time we sit down and have a wrestling conversation. So But thank you again. Congratulations. And I know I'll speak for Taylor here. We can't wait to see what you do this year at school representing MHS, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.